Hey everyone, welcome to Open's Gaming Den. Today we're unboxing the game Ancient Terrible Things, designed by Simon McGregor and Robin Van Zyl, and published by Pleasant Company Games. As the front of the box says, it is a pulp horror dice game. So there's going to be a bunch of dice in the box, which you're going to be rolling to complete different objectives, I assume. Now, I've not played the game before, but it's a game that I've actually had my eyes on for a while because I like the theme and the aesthetics that this goes for. Usually, Cthulhu themed games or Lovecraftian games tend to follow either a very somber horror theme, such as Eldritch Horror, the Arkham Horror series, and so on, or they usually end up as tie-ins with other themes or implementations of other themes like Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu, and so on. Rarely, though, they take on sort of like a pulpy adventure sort of a feel. And I know there is a few games that have done that. I mean, Eldritch Horror, as I'd mentioned, is one that perhaps gets a little close to it, but it's not quite pulpy. It's not quite sort of like you're, oh, strap on your belts and we're off on an adventure sort of a thing. And this for me always gave off that vibe quite a bit. So I've always been excited to sort of like try it out, and hopefully I'll be able to do this now. Um, Turning around the box, obviously we can see there's going to be a bunch of cards in here. I know there's a game board in there as well, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, we expect there to be a bunch of dice too. So hopefully it's all good quality components. I've not played a lot of games by Pleasant Company in the past. So this is going to be a first experience for me as well. The game is designed for 2 to 4 players and is expected to be played in roughly 60 minutes. So about an hour. So without further ado, let's crack into it and see what's inside the box. All right, let's get this shrink off to the side. Now, first off, obviously there's a very strong green colored theme in there, which sort of like gives you it gives me a sense of sort of like, how you have, not mold is the wrong word, how you have sort of like, it's almost like seaweed or wet. I'm describing it very poorly, but hopefully you get what I'm sort of like trying to get at. You know, yeah, I it's hard for me to explain it, but hopefully you like the aesthetics. The artwork is okay. I mean, so far it's not really giving a lot away right here, but let's see what the artwork on the cards look like. That's the one that I'm really curious to find out. Inside of the lid is pretty standard. All right, so we have a bunch of components. Before we crack into it, let's have a look at the rule book. Now, I don't expect this to be a heavy game by any means. And we have a component overview, so there's going to be a bunch of tokens or not counters, tokens really, resource tokens by the look of things. There's going to be a bunch of dice, obviously. There's going to be a bunch of cards. Game setup. Looks like there's a few different pieces, but again, does not seem very complex just yet. Done overview. Whoa, so you have 7 different phases with a turn. Riverboat phase, explore phase, desperation phase, encounter phase, terrible thing phase, trading post phase, refresh phase. So there's definitely a few steps involved with your turn. Hopefully there's a reference card to keep to remind you of the different steps, at least for your first few games. And again, so if you look at just the pages around the actions, not a lot of it. There's definitely quite a bit of artwork taking up space as well. And basically you run into the unspeakable event and it looks like this might be the end of the game, because then they start talking about location actions, dice combinations, examples, and it seems to be pretty much the end. So the rules really are, other than the setup, basically just 3 pages. So nice. So hopefully it's something light and breezy to get into on a weekend. All right, so we'll move that to the side. This feels like a sticker sheet. Yep, so there might be pieces, wooden pieces perhaps, that you're putting the stickers on. And there's a sticker for Ancient Terrible Things that you can put on anything you might want, I guess. So that's there. These, I assume, are player boards. The back of it is black, but it's not completely blank. I don't know if you can make it out or not. There's a very faint uh, watermark sort of a thing going on at the side here, circular with a few lines coming off it. But obviously there's no artwork, but it's there in all of these consistently. So it's definitely not a it's definitely not sort of like markings or friction against the back of it. But it looks like you're playing with a few characters. So you're playing with the Harris, the captain, the journalist, the professor. And you might have character specific things, so you definitely start off with different resources by the look of things. I don't know if you have character specific action or abilities or not, but so as we had said, this does give you the reminder of the turn sequence, so that's good. If you're playing one of your first few games, this might be a handy thing in front of you. Reroll track, different rates that you'll collect perhaps, and there's some flavor text going on there. There's a score stack and a bunch of other stuff as well. Thickness is all right, not too bad. It's sturdy enough, should hold up well, but definitely a dark color scheme so far. And we have a couple of sheets of cardboard and then the game board itself. So let's start by looking at the cardboard. Double-sided. These are punching out well enough. Might have to push a little bit on some of them, but overall they're all right, not too bad. Thickness is decent. It's nothing exceptional. I've obviously sort of like we would have all seen games where these could be a bit thicker, but these are fine as it is. It's not thin, so should work out pretty well. And then of course you have some sort of a, I don't know if this is like a first play marker or some sort of a turn marker, but that's there. And more counters again, all punching out fairly well. And there's another sort of a booklet thing, and then these counters will move to the side. We'll come back to the keyboard in typical fashion at the very end, so we'll move this and see what else we have in the box. So there's a bunch of cards, there's dice, and it's fewer dice than I had actually expected. I don't know why I thought there would be a lot more dice in the box for this one, but there we go. Let's have a look at these discs. Yeah, these are standard discs, but on the large and thick end. And I think this might be where you put the stickers on. Let's bring that sheet out. Yeah, and they look to be about similar size, so you're perhaps taking it off and putting it on these. And I think these are meant to be on both the sides, so you're using 2 for each, I guess. Based on the number of discs we have in here, there's about 4 of them. All right, let's get these back in the bag and off to the side. Let's have a look at the dice. I mean, I would assume that given the fact that this is such a dice-driven game, the quality of the dice should be good. So I'm interested to see what that is. And these are quite nice. It's not the biggest dice, but they feel big enough. They feel chunky enough. The edges are rounded, so rolling them is going to be fairly easy. And translucent, so it's a little see-through. You can sort of like make out a little bit of the background through it. Yeah, standard dice, but overall feels quite well done. So I'm happy with these. There's still, I mean, my favorite dice in any game, I think, to this date is probably still Quantum. Those are really big and chunky. So it's not really up to that level, but still quite decent, to be honest. And let's have a look at the cards. So the back, these all have the same back, and then there's another set of these with the different side, and then a bit more variation coming along. So let's see what these are, what's happening here. So you have the Haunted Ancestor, the Proprietor, Weird Pool, Dark Signet, Omen and Stone, the Champ. So I don't know what these are. Perhaps you're trying to match these symbols to gain these cards. I think could be. hard to tell without really knowing. These are different scenario cards by the look of things. I don't know if you're using, and these are double-sided, obviously, and these are different on each of the sides. So I don't know if you're using different ones for different scenarios, but they're there. Then you have, these are obviously different than these cards. Fresh Approach, Swift Decision, Short Fuse, Giant Leap. These, I don't know what these are. These might be some sort of a action that you're doing on the cards or ability that you're getting. Choose an available encounter and remove it from the game. So it looks like you're definitely doing something with these cards versus these where you just had sort of like a pip value on the die or a combination of a set of dice and then some artwork. Speaking of artwork, well, stock. Let's start with the stock quality. It's all right, not too bad. Feels a little on the thinner end, but I think it should be okay. Again, hopefully you're not shuffling these cards, and it's not a card-driven game, I would assume. So hopefully these stand out well. The artwork, I like the aesthetics. Level of detail is okay. It's not too great, but again, not bad either. But generally, the aesthetics work for me, so that's a positive. You can look at this and decide for yourself whether the aesthetics work for you or not. Yeah, so it definitely feels not ghoulish enough and not cartoony enough, somewhere in the middle, if that makes sense. And then, of course, these are more just text and so on and so forth. So, all right, so those are these cards. Let's see if we have more variation in these or if these are pretty much the same. We'll start off with the back, and these, well, these are different. These are swag cards. We have not seen those before. And these have a slightly different background. So let's see what's happening here. Alien Carcass, Digger's Claim, Sealed Portal, Wandering Magician, Baroness, blah blah blah. The artwork is definitely unique. I have not identified any repetitions just yet, so you're definitely getting quite a bit of variety with the artwork. These feel like item cards, perhaps, that you're maybe buying to use over the course of the game. This is perhaps the cost you're paying for it, because it does have a dollar symbol next to it. Yeah. And then achievement cards. So perhaps some sort of an objective that you're looking to complete over the course of the game. And then you have a card for the expansion, the Lost Charter expansion. Snowblind, Race to the South Pole. Nice. Generally, again, obviously there's a lot more artwork on this stack. And I think my comments still hold true. I do like the aesthetics of it. I probably wish that the artwork veered a little more towards realistic as opposed to what's in here, which is, I mean, neither animated or cartoony, nor are these realistic. It's somewhere in the middle. But generally, I still do like it. I do like the artwork on it. I do like the aesthetics, I think, more than anything else. Wish it might have had a little bit more detail, but no complaints from me on it. Right, so these are the cards. We'll move this to the side. Now, obviously, there's a bunch of bags and sort of like a cardboard insert. So we're not going to worry too much about this. Let's move these to the side and let's bring out the board and see what's happening with that. So it does seem like a somewhat full-size board, not a short one. All right, let's lay this out. Whoa, am I doing it right? Oh, no, I have it upside down. Let's flip it over. So this, there we go. Now we can see the whole thing. So it's not a completely square board, but not a long, elongated one either. Again, very dark color scheme, which I'm okay with. You can look at it and judge for yourself whether this is something that works for you or not. It looks like you might be going up or down a river and discovering or visiting different locations to do different things. So you have the Accursed Shrine, Costly Gorge, Sinister Chateau, Crumbling Ruin, Rusted Gunsloop, and Yawning Chasm. And of course, there's a bunch of locations for different cards. This is where the swag cards go. Trading Post, Riverboat, rumors. Huh, interesting. And then looks like the side of a map, perhaps to have tokens out, maybe, or something like that. It says it's the expedition track. I'm not really sure how that works, but that's there. And it's obviously not double-sided because the back of it is completely black. I like the aesthetics. Uh, it aligns with what my tastes are like. And again, I'd seen a bit of this on videos before, obviously unboxing this, although this is the first time I'm seeing this in person. It's in line with what I was expecting. So I do like the aesthetics overall. I do like the artwork that's on in here. It's quite similar to what we had a look at earlier on as well with the cards. So that's there. So, all right, that's pretty much everything that comes in the box for Ancient Terrible Things. Not too terrible, actually quite decent. And that's it from me. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. In the meanwhile, thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.